Good morning. Welcome on to Let's Bet It. Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabari here with Mark Zinno, Jared Smith. Guys, lots going on today. It is Friday. We're feeling frisky. We got like 4 sports to talk about. You guys are both matching in your blue. Zinno, how are you?
I'm doing well. Ready for the weekend, to say the least. Can't wait to sit back, get up early tomorrow morning, get some coffee, and maybe, as they say, some tea and biscuits, and watch the rest of the Open.
Oh, Jared, I know you've been very involved in the Open. How are you feeling about your pick so far?
Yeah, we got Rory teeing off right now. He's the outright. Some really, really good golf being played this morning. Some really good conditions. To pull a phrase out of the Scottish lingo handbook, it is a bra forecast today, meaning very nice, very calm, pleasant winds, not very cold, no rain. A little rain this morning. Course drying out, though, this afternoon. And some low scores. Scotty Scheffler, 8 under par. Dustin Johnson, 9 under par. And he is your leader right now. You got Cameron Smith.
Go live golf, baby.
A lot of good golf going to get played over the next 36 holes. And, of course, the leaders are probably going to be 10, 12, 13 under par once it's all said and done today. And I wouldn't be shocked if we get a 20 under par win this thing if the conditions stay like this, because this course is gettable when there's no wind. So it's going to be a really fun weekend.
I'm really hoping for a live golfer to take this thing. I really want a live golfer to win it.
Why? Do you want the dramas in or what?
No, I think the consternation over live golf is ridiculous. And anybody who's anti-live golf is just like making things up that are completely foolish. It's just ridiculous the amount of angst there is against live golf, and I don't understand it. So I hope one wins it now, and we can shut everybody up about it.
It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Cameron Young had a really good first round. Congratulations to him. Tiger Woods didn't play very well yesterday, and a lot of people were really looking forward to him teeing off, seeing what he was able to do. Zinno, your thoughts, because you're plugging your nose and batting the air.
He stinks. Look, Tiger... this is not the same Tiger Woods that we grew up with. He's just another guy on tour nowadays from a golf standpoint. He was the favorite to miss the cut here, despite the fact that this is, quote, his favorite course. And it seems that every major Tiger plays in, whatever it is, it's his favorite course, because we want to create this narrative that Tiger is still going to be competitive at golf. I'm not saying Tiger is not relevant.
He is still going to be competitive eventually, hopefully.
No, he's not. He's done. No, he's absolutely done. I mean, he is a broken down version of one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, and it's kind of embarrassing watching him walk off the walk off the course these days, because he can barely move. Like, it's not. There's only one bet you can ever make on Tiger, and that's to make or miss the cut. And it's usually people want to do it to make. But all those people prior to the tournament teeing off who were backing Tiger, fools, suckers, morons. Like, you should know better by now.
Yeah, Jared, just your thoughts on Tiger in his first round. Obviously not the best. We got some of these young guys who are really making a splash here in the Open.
Yeah, Tiger, it's sad. I mean, you're not going to find a bigger Tiger fan than me, but it's tough to watch him. And I think when you get to a certain point in, now the books love it. I mean, the books, Tiger was the biggest liability this week, and he's, after the first 4 holes of the tournament, you're like, all right, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And again, when you see that kind of liability on one player and the line really not move that much, it moved a little bit, but not significant, not, congruent to the amount of liability that was on him. It was obvious that the odds makers, who I think are a lot smarter than most of the general public that are placing these bets on a weekly basis, had no thoughts that he was even going to be in contention this week. I think there was a world where he could make the cut. But I think the conditions had to favor it, and the scoring's just too low, and he just does not look like the same guy. So it's really sad, but I don't know if we're going to ever see Tiger Woods at the form that he was in, even in 2019 when he won the Masters. I think even that is a memory.
Yeah, I mean, like that 2019 Masters is more an aberration than it was consistency.
Yeah, that's true. So we're going to actually have like a full golf show basically tomorrow with Diane Knox-Ballas, having her on, seeing the guys that have made the cut. We're going to delve into it, get into it further tomorrow with the Open Championship. Dustin Johnson obviously sitting at first right now, -9. Scottie Scheffler made a little bit of a push, and now he's at -8. Patrick Cantlay -8, Cameron Young -8, Taylor Gooch -7. It's going to be just exciting to see how things kind of play out throughout the rest of the morning today, and the guys that make the cut, and then we'll see how the next 2 days go on Saturday and Sunday. So we have a lot of golf.
Mary Poppins, settle down over there.
He's up with our team this morning.
Like this, you guys. I don't know if it's Scottish. It's not even a Scottish accent. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth right now. So you know what? That's totally fine.
Just a spoonful of sugar for Lauren Jabara.
Oh my goodness.
It makes all the medicine go down. You know what I'm saying? Let's take it from the course to the court, because we got some big news with Denadre Ayton coming out of Phoenix right now. So the Phoenix Suns restricted free agent is signing at this point a 4-year, $133 million maximum contract offer sheet, say that 5 times fast, with the Indiana Pacers. Now, the Suns have 2 days to match this at this point. It's the largest offer sheet in NBA history. Does this take the Suns out of the KD race? In my opinion, yes, because the Nets are asking for the world and then some. They want everything in the kitchen sink, earth, moon, and stars. And they don't have anything left to bargain at this point, right? Like, you're not getting rid of Booker. You're not getting rid of Chris Paul. So what else do you have to use as a bargaining chip for KD, right?
Well, here's the thing. I mean,
did they match it?
Sorry, I should have totally directed that question at somebody.
They matched it for one simple reason. Now, here's the rub with them matching it. They can't trade Ayton until after January 15th. So Ayton is going to start the year on the Phoenix Suns roster. And right now it looks like Kevin Durant is going to start the year in Brooklyn with the Nets, albeit probably begrudgingly. But, the amount of suitors for Kevin Durant are going to quickly dwindle. Miami may be the only one left, and they're going to need a second, or I should say a third or fourth team to work a trade out. But I think the smartest move for Phoenix was to match this, simply because they would have no trade chips left. They're not getting rid of Devin Booker. Nobody wants Chris Paul at this point in time, and they don't necessarily have a deep enough bench. So Ayton, I don't think, finishes the year in a Suns uniform, but he's certainly going to start it there.
I mean, if you're Denadre Ayton, Jared, like, do you feel loved by your team at this point? Because, like, you know that they want to use you as a pawn in their schemes at this point. Like, yeah, they matched it, but at the same time, it's like, you kind of know. So you go into the season, are you mentally locked in if you're Denadre Ayton?
You better be, because you have
for $133 million. You better be.
Yeah, you got 133 million reasons to be locked in.
And listen, at the end of the day, it's a business. You know, you've seen it. You've seen the inner workings of that business. So personal feelings aside, he is getting paid an exorbitant amount of money to be played a game that he's been playing since he was a kid. So is he a little butthurt that maybe the Suns are using him as a bar? Sure. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and that is the business of basketball, to try to get a guy like Kevin Durant. I think the Nets really kind of showed their hand in the marketing schemes over the last few weeks. And maybe this means absolutely nothing, but I'm a little bit of a superstitious guy when it comes to this kind of stuff. They put out a banner for their season tickets. Kyrie was not on the banner, not one of the players on it. Kevin Durant was. And I think that kind of tells you where the Nets are right now, where Kyrie is kind of spinning off in his own universe somewhere, And as much as KD has the credentials to demand a trade, he really doesn't have anything else to stand on besides a really solid resume because he's under contract, and I think the Nets want him to stay. And we'll see what the end result is, but I would not be shocked if it is Kevin Durant staying in Brooklyn for a lengthy period of time during the season because the Nets really are under no obligation to trade him. And I don't think that they should trade him unless the offer is right. So that's where I'm at with this trade or this non-trade. But for Ayton, I mean, you're getting 133 mil, bro. I don't care how much they're using you as a pawn.
Totally.
Enjoy it. Enjoy that.
Well, if you're the Nets, obviously you want KD on your team. He's the best player in NBA. Like, of course you want the best player in the NBA on your team, right? For Deandre Ayton, he gets paid. It doesn't matter how he gets paid, but he's getting paid at this point. Phoenix is in a pickle. They match the offer, and ensuring that he's basically staying with the Suns. Kevin Durant, to Phoenix rumors, taking a temporary hit. I don't think that he's going to be going to the Suns, at least at this point, or anytime soon. It might be January. It might be never. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll see how it all plays out. NBA season starts in about 2 months, so we'll keep you all posted. All right, talking about games going into tonight, our Better Up segment. So from the court, we're taking it to the park because 15 games on the slate tonight, and we're starting it out with a bittersweet rivalry that we just saw like a week ago, and we get to see it again, the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now, you look at the Yankees, and they're not red hot right now heading into the All-Star break. There's 3 more days for these teams before the All-Star break. The Yankees only 5-6 straight up in their last 11 games. Boston is even worse, 3-8 straight up in their last 11 games. Neither team really has it right now. And a stat about Boston at this point, they're 1-7 straight up in their last 8 games played in the Bronx. So they're looking at this schedule and they're like, shit, 3 more games in the Bronx before All-Star break. All-Star break can't come soon enough. How are you guys betting this game? Zeno, I'll start with you.
Well, I'd say this much in favor of the Red Sox. They didn't just get beat up by the Cincinnati Reds like the Yankees did at home, no less, of all things. So that's part of the Yankees' struggles. They played crazy that they played a really bad Reds team. But once again, this series, I think, initially will come down to pitching, and you get a good matchup here in the first game with Nate Eovaldi and Jordan Montgomery. It's a game that I look tonight to probably go under more than anything, and it's a game that if the lineups are going to get going, typically they get going early, right? We saw that in the last 2 games in Fenway. A lot of runs were scored early, and it certainly benefited the Red Sox. I think that's the kind of game that they'd rather play and get into the Yankees bullpen sooner rather than later because the Yankees starters have been fairly dominant across the board this year.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Jared, are you betting this game at all?
I'm not. I will say this from a perspective of gambling only. The Yankees have owned this rivalry of late. So since 2019, they're 36-20 against the Red Sox for plus 8.6 units. The run line is up over 10 units. So if you're just blind betting the Yankees in this series, you're in a pretty good spot. This is tough because you've got Eovaldi today making his first start in a month. So what are we going to get?
And that kind of factors into my cap a little bit too, because I like the Yankees' first 5. The money line was a little juicy for me at minus 168, laying 68 cents for it, but the Yankees' first 5 is only minus 110. And the fact that Boston is only 1-7 straight up over the last 8 games played at the Bronx. You mentioned it, Jerry. Nathan Eovaldi activated from the 15-day IL. His first start since June 8th. I will say he did win his last 3 starts before that, but he might be a little bit rusty in his first start back in a month. And the Yankees have hit Eovaldi really hard over the last couple of years. You look at Aaron Judge, 9 for 23 with 1 home run and 2 RBI. Rizzo is 6 for 11 with the home run and 4 RBI. I had like a list of a bunch of other guys going up against them, but they're all like hitting over 400 against Eovaldi over the last like 2-3 years. So it's pretty incredible to see that. And then you look at who's on the bump for the Yankees. It's Jordan Montgomery. He's been pretty good right now. 2-0 with a 3.19 ERA in his 8 starts at home this season. 3-1 in his last 4 starts in total. He's heating up as the season goes on. He has a 1.03 whip on the season as well, which is incredible. He's also among the top 8% in MLB pitchers with a 4.7 bases on balls percentage. And they'd had a really, really bad series against the Reds. They want to bounce back. The Yankees do. They played extra innings last night. They played extra innings in 2 of the last 3 nights, but I still think they're going to be good to go. They're going to be able to hit Eovaldi in his first game back. He's going to be a little bit rusty. And at least through the first 5 innings, I don't know, like honestly betting the Red Sox just because there's a lot of value on it on their money line is a good bet. But first 5, I'm going with Montgomery over Eovaldi here for the first 5 innings, just with how he's pitching. And then also Eovaldi being on the IL over the last 15 days or so. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be an exciting matchup between those 2 teams tonight. Game 1 of 3 before the All-Star break. Then we have like 4 days off of MLB next week, which is going to be really exciting. Okay. So let's talk about is the trend your friend for a second, because we've been doing this and I love these trends. And I don't tell you guys about them at this point. So I'm going to start with a trend. The Orioles taking on the Rays. The Nerfy. The Orioles games have gone 9-0 to the Nerfy in the last 9 games against the AL. Jared, are you taking it? Are you fading it? Or are you passing?
Let's take a look at the Orioles here on my sheet. The Orioles have been a high Nerfy team. Ooh, it is juiced today. Tyler Wells against Luis. Patino's been a guy that has been a little erratic at times. I would fade that just based off the price. Minus 150 on the Nerfy. No, I'm not laying 50 cents on a Nerfy. No thank you.
Plus, Tyler Wells is pretty not good, is the way to phrase it. I mean, he's one of their not so solid starters, if you will. I'm just putting it gently here, but he's been good, but he hasn't been great. And he gives up the long ball a bunch, and that's what kind of scares me.
Yeah, and I look at I know. So yeah, okay, you guys are both fading this one. I have like 8 trends today. I'm trying to like read through my list to pick the best ones. Okay, the next one is the Dodgers.
You have 8 trends. Where do you?
Yeah, I got a lot of trends.
Oh my
I do my research. You give me a job and I do well, Jared, okay?
Over extra credit. She gets the gold star.
Thank you. Thanks. I was the kid that sat in the front row and
100%
got
could see
all A's,
that.
except for my dad would disagree with that my sophomore year of college, but that's neither here nor there. We're here now. Dodgers run line. The Angels are 0-8 as run line dogs in their last 8 following a loss.
Wow. Freeway series too, right? Angels, Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's by the way, awful time for rivalry matchups the weekend before the All-Star break. These guys don't.
I know, because everyone has their mind on like
they're checked out. Like, I totally agree with that. But Kershaw against
Sandoval.
Against Sandoval. Every time I bet the Dodgers, I lose. So no, I'm not backing that trend. Or actually, no, I would be. Yes, okay. I would be fading that. Or no, the trend is my friend because you're fading the Dodgers run line. Yes. So
yeah,
yes, the trend
I'm
is
fading. Yeah.
We're fading the Dodgers run line.
I'm fading the Angels. Betting the Dodgers
read me the trend again. Read me the trend again. I'm sorry.
The Angels are 0-8 as run line dogs.
Okay.
The Angels are 0-8 as run line dogs in their last 8 following a loss.
Yeah, fade the Angels. So yeah,
backing the Dodgers.
Yeah,
would be
backing the Dodgers run line,
playing into the trend.
Angels run line.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, let's take it to Cleveland. Guardians 8-0 in their last 8 home games as favorites versus AL Central teams.
Well, that's not saying much because the rest of the AL Central stinks other than Minnesota. So that makes a lot of sense.
So do you follow me?
This was a game I actually looked at a Nerfy in, but I can't trust Drew Hutchinson to get through the first inning. So I would back that trend against Detroit. Now, I also possibly looked at the Tigers on the run line here, but it was way too juicy for me to back them. So if you're talking about a money line play, is that the trend again, Lauren? It's money line against the AL Central?
Yep. 8-0 in their last 8 home games as favorites.
Yeah, I would stay with the trend. I'd follow it.
I would follow it.
The trend is your friend in this place, my friend.
I'll take it a step further. Our buddy Jut Picks does a great job with MLB player props for the site. Has a prop on Guardian starting pitcher. Who is it? It's not Savale. It's Plesac tonight. Also fading the Tigers line. I'll leave it at that. Go check it out because he does a really good job with player props. So, yeah, I would absolutely fade the Tigers tonight. The trend is my friend.
Fade the Tigers. The trend is your friend, Jared and Zeno. Okay, got 2 more for you. I'm going to leave the other 3 out. It's fine. They're not as good. Giants, Brewers, Nerfy. No runs first inning. The Nerfy is hit in 5 of the last 5 Brewers games against the National League.
Jared, I'm sorry to cut you off here. I looked at this last night. And I have never seen a Nerfy price this high. It was minus 205. That was with Rodon and Corbin Burns on the mound. Today, it is still insane at I think it's minus 180. Like, it is nuts with this series.
So the trend is your friend, but you pass on it because it's too juicy.
I want to buy into the trend, and I wanted to do it yesterday. I just couldn't talk myself into paying $2.05 for $1 back in return. It made no sense financially for me to do so. But I'm like, if this is, I've seen heavy Nerfy spreads before. I've never seen anything like that this entire season. I would back it again. I just can't endorse the price.
That was a biggie.
Jerry,
listen, I think, with these Nerfies, first of all, Woodruff Wood, the W and W boys tonight, that's a good pitching matchup for the Nerfy. Wood not as strong as Woodruff.
Yeah, he's the liability.
Woodruff's been absolutely fantastic in that category, almost 80% since 2019. I see minus 135 for this one at DraftKings. I think that's pretty fair.
When I checked last night,
it's minus
164
at FanDuel, and there's an example of the price sensitivity that we are trying to preach on this show. That is a 30-cent gap between 6 outs on a baseball diamond. And again, depending on each book's liability and the total, it's a derivative, blah, 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 math, but 30 cents, I would bet the minus 135. I think it's a decent spot. I'm seeing 24% edge on my sheet with Woodruff and Wood. So, yeah, minus 135 I think is fair. I would friend that trend.
Friend that trend.
One
more, Jared. This one actually brings us into your pick, so we'll have you talk about your pick after this. But the Rockies take it on the Pirates today. The under is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. Do you take the under here?
Well, it's an under at Coors Field. You want to talk about sweat, times the Nerfy sweat at Coors Field by 9 innings if you want to take a full game under at Coors. But what do we say when it comes to how we bet games at Coors Field? The value is always on the under and the Nerfy. That's just the way that it's priced. So, yes, I would befriend that trend. Also, Jose Quintana has been sneaky good this year, not only in the first inning, which I'll get to in a minute, but overall, a lot better numbers than I would have expected for him. And that Pirates lineup has been a little bit and the Rockies lineup also a little So, yes.
Except for Zeno. Jared, did you guys see that O'Neal Cruz throw last night that was like 96 miles an hour for an out?
Yeah.
It was the fastest throw ever in the history of Major League
Michael Harris had one, too.
This guy.
You see the Michael Harris play from center field?
Yes, I did. And in reality, it saved the under last night at 9.5.
Yeah.
So it was a huge throw. And oh, by the way, on the Pickswise website yesterday, I had the Coors Field Nerfy, which is why I'm not playing it again. I'm not going back to the well back-to-back games. So I'll gladly walk away. Because, listen, the Coors Field Nerfy is the cold shower when you need it. Right? It's the freezing cold shower. You jump in and you get out. You don't go back until you need another one. You jump in and you get out. You don't want to stay in the cold shower because you get all.
I agree. But this is a good matchup today. Can I tell you why it's a good matchup today?
Because you're shriveled. Yeah. I get it. It's okay.
I am a glutton I'm a masochist is what I am.
Exactly.
Honestly, Quintana's 14-3 to the Nerfy this year. Like, that is ace level stuff. 6-1 on the road. And if you combine the big sample size here, which is where I get the numbers that I use for my sheet, since 2019, these two pitchers are 110-39 to the Nerfy. That's 73.8%. Wow. Marquez and Quintana. So you're seeing a massive gap in what the odds are here, plus 135, which denotes a 42.5% implied odds, compared to what the implied Nerfy rate of these pitchers are. You're also getting a little bit of an edge just on the Coors Field rate, which is 43.7%. 21 out of 48 games at Coors this year have gone Nerfy. So plus 135 at Bet365, I think is a very fair price. I'm seeing even odds at DraftKings for this Nerfy. I would not bet it at even odds. That's not enough giddy up for my price there. But plus 135, I think is a fair bet here for the Nerfy.
You just have to avoid the ball to the back of the head, aka the home run. As long as you avoid that, you're going to be good.
Like any other bet, you have to avoid the bullshit. Well,
but see, here's the thing, and I'll just say this real quick on Nerfies, because I bet them more than Yerfies, obviously. That's factored into the equation, who the top 3 guys are in the lineup and the likelihood of a long ball. But I am more okay with losing a Nerfie on a home run than I am on a walk, a base hit, an error, and just watching things unfold.
There's nothing worse than a first hitter out, walk. If you walk the first
unless
guy.
You're on the walks props.
Yeah, there you go. Walk this way.
We hit the parlay yesterday. Thank you very much. No, listen. Yeah. I agree that you are going to lose more bets than you win if you bet the Nerfy everyday Coors Field. But you have to eliminate that bias from your brain because it's about the price.
No, I get it.
The price.
I'm not arguing that. More. I did it yesterday, so I won't go back in. I went streaking. I went to the quad. And now I put my clothes back on, and I'm
It was a nice hit yesterday. There was really no date. Yesterday was easy breezy on that Nerfy. It felt really good.
Kyle Freeland scared me a little bit. I thought the Padres might be able to get to him, but nonetheless. So anyway, go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so Jared's on the Pittsburgh, Colorado Nerfy. Let's talk about Nerfies and Yerfies for a second, because the Nerfy, no runs first inning, went 8-5 yesterday. They're hitting at a 54.7 rate right now. If you bet them in July, you're up 13.15 units. That's pretty good. The Mets have 7 straight no-run first innings, and that was broken yesterday. It was the longest active streak at this point is Chicago Cubs with 4 straight Yerfies. But, Zeno, you are back to the well. You're streaking again with the Mets, and you're trying to start a new streak with them because you're on their Nerfy today against the Chicago Cubs who have 4 straight Yerfies.
And full disclosure, I didn't really look into the trend where it was. I looked more at the pitching matchups and where they are. Now, the Cubs are a very good Yerfy team this year, as are the Mets offensively, but the Mets are great on the flip side of it, not allowing first inning runs. And most of this is about the starters more than anything. I get Taijuan Walker for the Mets going, who has been phenomenal all year long, and he's only given up a run once in his last 5 starts in the first inning against Marcus Stroman, who's gone 3 in a row and 4 of his last 6 without giving up a run in the first inning. So I always try to find these day games, guys. And Jared, we've talked about the correlation between the Nerfy and the day game, just because it's one of those things where the body clocks are a little bit different. And sometimes I think it takes guys, it's a little bit sluggish for them to get warm or get going in some of these day games, especially when they're sandwiched in between. Like a Friday day game, sometimes you get a Thursday day game, you understand that, a travel day, but the Friday one after a travel day for the Mets is certainly a little bit of an odd situation. So that's what I'm playing into here with the Nerfy. And I got it at plus money, so I couldn't pass up the value.
Yeah, I like it. I really do like it. So we got 2 Nerfies on the board. Jared has the Coors Field Nerfy, and Zeno has the Wrigley Field Nerfy. Let's get into some walk props, Jared, because I know you want to walk this way into some money.
Yeah, we walked this way right into a parlay win last night. Much needed.
That's what's up.
Framber Valdez finished it off for us, which was very nice. Today, so I had difficult decisions today because it was like there were no middle ground today. It was either really juicy or not really juicy. So I have a little really juicy and then a little not really juicy, but it only equates to plus 291, which is one of the lower ones we bet so far. So not exactly a high payout, but again, I'm just going to stay consistent here because if I check my handy dandy sheet, we've bet 33 of these, basically 1 per day for the last month plus, and I've got a 45% ROI. So obviously I'm doing something right, and I'm just going to try to stay consistent throughout the rest of the season. Michael Kopech, over 1.5 at the Twins. Kopech, 75% hit rate on the season, 12 out of 16. Cole Irvin over a hook. All we need is 1, baby. And he's facing the Astros. I was surprised at this number. Obviously, it's like minus 230. You can't bet it individually. But I was surprised that it was a half against the Astros, who are one of the most patient lineups in baseball. 73% of starts this year, Irvin has walked at least one batter, 11 out of 15. Finally, we're going to Mad Bum. Late night, Arizona at San Diego. Only a 56% hit rate for Bumgarner this year, but 11 of 16 lefties at Petco Park have gone over this against the Padres. So San Diego's lineup is a little patient. So we'll go Kopech over 1.5, Irvin over a hook, and Bumgarner over 1.5, plus 291. Again, not the sexiest, not the juiciest parlay payout, but I don't care. I'm just trying to find 3 guys I think are going to hit, and we'll take it from there. My individual bets today in the walks department, I'm saving one for play of the day, but I do have one for you now. It's a plus money, and it's a Patrick Corbin, and it's your guys' neck of the woods here facing the Braves.
And it's a plus money. And it's a Patrick Corbin.
It's a plus money Patrick, baby. Plus 105 over at DraftKings. 67% hit rate for Corbin on this prop this year. I was a little surprised we got plus money here. Maybe it's a trap. Maybe it's not. The one thing that's intriguing, by the way, 61% hit rate if you include last year's sample size. So big sample size here and a big over 50% hit rate. So that's why I'm surprised we're getting plus money. He's facing the Braves for the second straight start. And we've talked about this before. I like fading pitchers the second time they face the lineup in a row. But on the walk side, I don't know if that's true. Maybe on the hits, runs, innings side, I think it's good to fade guys. But a lot of times, from what I'm seeing, because I've bet a few of these back-to-back now against the same lineup, the lineups know the pitcher's a little bit better. So they're actually a little more, geared into the kind of stuff that they're going to get, and they might swing or not swing at certain times. So the walks correlation to facing a lineup for the second straight time has not proven as fruitful as I had hoped, at least recently. So take that into account. But how about this, you Braves fanatics out there? 18 of the last 25 lefties, starters, have gone over 1.5 walks against Atlanta. They are very patient against left-handed starters this season. And so I like the plus money for Corbin, who's been a little wild on the year, for over 1.5 today. So that's my solo prop. We'll save one more for play of the day. But we got some goodies, some good walk props on the card today.
Lots of walk props, 2 nerfies, and then I got a couple breakout props too. One of them is actually my best bet of the day, so I'll save that for the end of the show. The other one I'm looking at is Hunter Green over 5.5 Ks. I'm only laying 18 cents for it, minus 118. Got that on FanDuel. I might be living on the edge a little bit with this one, but he did strike out 7 Cardinals players in his most recent start against them. That was back on June 11th. And he struck out at least 6 guys in 11 of his last 14 starts. That's a pretty good trend if you ask me. And the Cardinals have shown that they do strike out against right-handed pitching. Over the last 2 weeks, they have a K rate of 22.9%. That's ranked in the bottom half of the league. And they also only have a WRC plus of 91, which is not enough to scare me off for this play. So I like Hunter Green going a little bit deep into games, over 5.5. He's hit this again in 11 of his last 14 starts, and you're only laying 18 cents for it? Psh, forget about it. Why not? Let's get into it. Hunter Green. I was going to say throw in the Verde. Because that's green. I don't know. It has nothing to do with it. Verde. Spicy salsa. Why not?
Verde.
Okay. Lots of baseball talk today. But before we get into our plays of the day, guys, let's get into a little frisky football Friday and talk about key numbers in football. So when you look at key numbers, Jared, I'll go to you first. What are key numbers in the NFL, in college football, and how do you use them when you're betting?
So to me, key numbers in college football are less impactful for 2 reasons. One, there's more scoring. The totals are higher, so the numbers aren't as important, I think, as just which team wins. There is a trend in the NFL that says more often than not, the team that wins the game covers the spread. So while key numbers are very important, I don't think they're like gospel. Like if you're on the wrong side of a key number, I wouldn't just immediately rule out that bet. But in the NFL, which is where we really hone in on key numbers, it's 3 and 7. Those have been the 2 most landed on numbers in the NFL based on all the data that I see. They are evolving a little bit though. And it's because of the 2-point conversion. It's making 2, it's making 5, it's making 6 a little bit more noteworthy. 6 actually last year happened more times than 7, which is the first time that's happened in 10 years. That is something to keep an eye on going forward. But 7 and 3, 3 being the big one, are the numbers that we gravitate towards in the NFL. 3 was insane last year. So 6 out of the 7 playoff games, including the Super Bowl, through the Super Bowl, landed on 3. So the playoff games really, you tend to gravitate more towards the key numbers. But in the NFL, those are the 2 numbers that we look to that are really, magnets for the books when they're moving the lines every week.
Yeah, Zeno, how do you use them?
I mean, look, Jared's right from the standpoint of 3 and 7. I mean, 4 and 6, and even 1 to a certain extent are the ones that come up. But once you get past 10, there's a big jump to 14 plus. And that's just for frame of reference that, 10 is a common number, as is, 13 or 14. But once you clear 14, the numbers start to dilute into sort of random sample sets. But when Jared references a 2-point conversion, what has changed? It's not that the 2-point conversion is new. It's that coaches are going for it more often now because of the stupid chart and analytics and everything else. And, instead of just kicking the damn extra point like normal people would have when I was growing up, now I got to deal with idiot coaches screwing with my numbers. So it's one of those things where coaches will now chase points in the second quarter of a game that they don't need to. And those points are precious when it comes to gambling. That's why that hook matters all the time. That's why there's a huge difference between 3.5 and 3, and why sometimes bookmakers will make the line 3.5, or they'll leave it at 3 and make you pay extra juice on the favorite just because they understand where the liability is. So these numbers are important to understand, and they are important to know, when you see them, how to play them. And especially, again, when you talk about hook skating into the whole thing and a half point, it's just, there's a process to all this, as Jared was alluding to, and I think you need to follow it. Sort of like blackjack, right?
NFL season.
There's a book out there that kind of gives you a pathway. It doesn't always work out, but most of the time it does.
Jared? Is he frozen?
Yeah, I agree. Oh. I think when we look, no, I'm not frozen. I'm here. So I'll give you. So I did do a column about this at the end of the NFL season where I kind of identified some of the again evolutions of key numbers. More games landed on 2 this year than any other year, and that I think is noteworthy. So in the prior 10 seasons, 2011 through 2020, only 4% of games landed on 2. This year, almost 6% of games landed on 2. That is going to be one where I would be a lot more like we always say, oh, if it's plus 2.5, you want to buy the hook to 3. I would just be willing to take the 2.5 if more games are landing on 2. And same thing where we say 5 is a dead number. Not really showing that based off of what the numbers we're seeing now recently. So 4.5, you don't want to lay 4.5 because 5's a dead number. You don't want to lay 5. Well, more games are landing on 5 now, and there's more skewing going on with these key numbers because of this 2-point conversion and the extra point. Also, not only teams going for the 2-point conversion is happening more, teams are missing more extra points, which is why 6 is becoming more. Honestly, that was an interesting data point for me, that 20 games landed on 6 this year, only 19 landed on 7. Now, again, that goes against what the data was saying the prior 10 years, where 7 was more predominant than 6. But 6, because of people missing extra points, is now becoming more part of the equation as well. So the traditional key numbers that we're used to, 3 and 7, yes, they're very important, but I think they're less important now than they were in prior years. So I'm not going to be basing my bets solely on key numbers. There has to be a lot of other things that play into that.
Totally. Football's starting in about 10 days, training camp. It's just crazy that it's literally right around the corner. And then we get into preseason in August, and then bada bing, bada boom, the season starts early Sept. So cannot even wait for that. Okay, before we get into our best bets of the day, Jared, PLL, give me a little PLL action. What do we got this weekend?
Yo, we've got a lot of action this weekend. We've got the Stars. They're coming out. The All-Star game is tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern time, ESPN. We have a game preview on the site. I'm assuming there's picks associated with it. Also, there's a skills challenge happening. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN+. And listen, you want to talk about skills. Have you ever seen these games? I mean, they are nuts. I know, Mark, you've watched a lot of it. They are skillful. So check it out. Again, I don't know if there's lines associated with the skills challenge. That would be a very interesting dynamic. But a lot of stars out in full force for the PLL this weekend. So be sure to check that out. And be sure to check out our content that we have for the league on Pickswise.com.
PLL All-Star Game tomorrow. All-Star Skills Challenge at 6:30. All-Star Game at 3:30. Check it out. Okay. Pickswise.com, Zeno, who do we have for the 3-star pop play of the day? And then we're going to get into our best bets because we got a walk prop, a strikeout prop, and a nerf feed.
Yeah, I will actually post my pick later today here shortly after the show for what we have. But we do have a couple of baseball bets up there. And Mark Lammy has his, which I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's exact opposite of mine. So we'll have fun with that. And he also has a another Yerfie on another side that I would have been on the opposite side on. So Lammy and I going cross it. Mark against Mark. Let's do it tomorrow.
You want to know what the good news is on that part? Is
one of you has to win
one way or the other.
Someone has to win.
You ain't getting a wrong.
Somebody on the site is good. Somebody on the site's going to be a genius. Yes, that's what it boils down to.
Every day, someone on that site's a genius. Every day.
Yeah, seriously though. I mean, I do have to say too, the Pickswise MLB team is 16-2 in their last 18 Yerfie Nerfie bets.
Right they are.
And there's 2 more on the site today, which is good to see. Okay, let's get into our best
now
bet.
I'm changing mine.
Who's the better Mark? That's what Justin just put in the chat. Mark Lammy, Mark Zeno.
Which
Mark do you trust more?
Zeno,
who is on the mark?
Let's hear it. Let's hear your nerfie.
Good to see someone who doesn't buckle under the pressure.
Zeno, give me a nerfie. Hit me with it.
Oh, man.
I just lost all the confidence. It just sort of just deflated right out of me. As we'll go to Yankee Stadium and take a nerfie between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now, I haven't read Mark Lammy's write-up, but my guess is he's writing a nerfie for the same reason that I am a little bit hesitant on this, and the fact that Nate Eovaldi hasn't made a start in a month. I'm not worried about the home run ball from Nate Eovaldi. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He's given up 10 on the year, except 5 of those came in one start against the Astros. So in his other 14 starts, he's only given up a total of 5 home runs. So I don't worry about the home run ball from Eovaldi. He hasn't given up a first inning run since April 19th. That's a span of 10 starts. And it's the first start against the Yankees that he's had since opening day. On the flip side, Jordan Montgomery has now gone 9 consecutive starts in a row without allowing a first inning run, plus Boston 18th in Major League Baseball in first inning run scored percentage. I know it's a little bit juicy. My only worry is that Eovaldi would walk somebody or struggle through the first inning, but he's been very, very good in his last 2 outings. He didn't allow a single run prior to going on the IL. I think he picks up where he left off. I'll take a no-run first inning between the Yankees and Sox tonight.
I like a little Yankee. Love that. Yankee, Boston, no-run first inning. All right. Jared, you've been loving Sandy Alcantara. Tell me more.
Yeah, I do love Sandy. He's had a fantastic season. He's worthy of the NL Cy Young Award right now. We'll see if that continues in the second half. But today we are betting his walks prop, and we are not betting the over. We are betting the under. And that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because I'm 0-3 betting walk prop unders this season. So, of course, we're going to bet an under on Sandy Alcantara today.
You got to break that trend at some point, Jared.
I'm due, is what they say, right? No, listen, this is a fantastic handicap, maybe one of my best ever. So we'll see if it works out. If it doesn't, then I'll just keep banging my head against the wall, losing unders on walk props. But I think this one's going to hit. So Sandy has pitched in 18 games this year, and we have a nice congruent little trend forming with his walks. He was over 1.5 in 6 of his first 9, under 1.5 in 3 of his last 9. So it's been this little, upward trend for walks over his first 9 starts, and then now we're on the downward trend. Well, he's facing Philly for the 3rd time already this year, 1-1 on the over 1.5, under 1.5 walks prop against the Phillies. So not a whole lot to glean from that. But the last 4 right-handed starters have stayed under against Philly. 3 of them actually had 0 walks. 8 of the last 10 righties against this Philadelphia Phillies lineup have gone under 1.5 walks. They have the 5th lowest walk rate over the last 14 days at 6%. So this Phillies lineup is great. They've got some fantastic stars in the lineup, but they're not a very patient lineup. Little hitter happy, a little swing happy, especially lately. And Alcantara has been fantastic at home, 1.46 walks per nine, compared to on the road, 2.89. So I'm riding the home road splits. I'm riding this Phillies lineup being a little bit aggressive. And I think Alcantara, in his last start before the All-Star break, I think he might actually start the All-Star game, wants to finish strong here on this final weekend of the first half, the unofficial first half of the regular season. So I'll lay 25 cents, a little bit pricey, but I'll lay it under 1.5. I'll back the ace, and I'll say Sandy will keep things nice and tight, nice and neat and tidy later tonight against the Phillies.
Zeno's loving the nerfy, Jared's loving the under walk prop, and I'm loving the over strikeout props for Clayton Kershaw, and it's not too juicy. I'm only laying 4 cents for it. I whiffed on Framber last night. I had the over for his strikeouts. You know what?
You came close.
We're crossing that out, and we're
You were not Framberlicious.
That dude was cruising through the first 2 innings, and then what the hell happened? I don't know. Hopefully that's not the case.
Framber was not the color of your energy, right? Right, Mark? That's your line.
Yes, I know.
Yep. Okay, Kershaw, though. Clayton Kershaw. You can't fade this guy. He's been on a roll. He struck out 18 guys over his last 14 2/3 innings pitched. And, again, the Angels guys have a horrible K rate of 35.7% over the last 2 weeks. That's 1 in every 3 guys striking out. So I'm betting this because of 2 things. 1, Kershaw's talent. He's phenomenal. 6.5 is a low number. He struck out 18 in his last 14 2/3 innings, and the abysmal K rate of the Angels. You can't go under on this prop, and you're only laying 4 cents for it. So Clayton Kershaw over 6.5 Ks at -104. We're giving you a little bit of everything. Mix it all into a pot. See if it sticks. Best of luck to our bets tonight. Best of luck to your bets tonight, guys. That's it for us today. Mark Zeno, Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Javara. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.